Yeah, so that was that day, man. I was just like, I drew the bow up and I was like, I don't know, 8 years old. And I was out there in the woods and I was sitting in this deer stand and I heard something behind the deer stand. I looked back and I drew, right. And I saw like there's this, probably a couple-year old. It was a small buck. It just made eye contact at that moment. And I had the bow drawn, arrows drawn, ready to go. And I just slowly put it back, and then, sat there and just watched this deer walk around. It was pretty cool. I was like, at that moment, I was like, almost felt like one, like what you hear a lot of times in Native Americans talking about, like connecting with wildlife and things. Well, hey, welcome back to another episode of Waking the People. I am your host, Sir Chad Everbro Shears, and I'm with the man that even Prince would sing about, and that is Joshua, your patriot, my Kraken McClendon. So if you're really curious about what he looks like, and you're not already subscribed to the channel on YouTube and Rumble, that's where you're going to find out. You'll find out why I keep saying the man that even Prince would sing about. So with that, go on over, take the subscribe button out on a nice little date, like a tender date, take it back to the house, throw on the Netflix, and you know what else to do. Get that pound button, hit it. So with that, bell notifications, you'll know whenever we're rocking them boots. And you'll know when we go live. Son of a bitch. You see that?
Yeah, but
it was a ghost.
Good cat.
Yeah.
So welcome back to the episode. Thank you guys for joining us again on this kind of rainy day, this rainy Saturday, July 3rd, day before our nation's Independence Day, July 4th, one of my favorite holidays. So Chad and I are going to do a little bit of a July 4th big events in history. We're going to talk about some of the different ceremonies and different events that go on during July 4th that I think some of us will probably remember, and maybe some of you watch. I know I've watched one of them for a while. So yeah, it's going to be a great show. And Chad, what is this, Chad? Number 37?
36, man. Slow it down, big dog. This is 37. 37. You're right. I need to look at that. It's my early onset dementia. I'm taking the Biden route.
So, we're still one away from that goal of 70. So if you have not yet, like Chad said, hit that subscribe button. Let's try to get to 70 before July 4th. It would really, really help the channel out, Chad and I. So yeah, Chad, you had something interesting happen to you that I think you should share with the subscribers the last couple of days.
Yeah, you know what? The hell with it. I'm going to go ahead and do it. So I made a video yesterday. It was a solo, kind of like old Uncle Chad Burt in his garage video. But it really was just a one-sided Waking the People at the moment. So without my co-host. So Thursday evening, I was in my bed with my pups, like just in my bedroom, relaxing, getting ready to go to sleep. Maybe not necessarily go to sleep, but anyway, I was in my room relaxing, 8 o'clock at night, and my dogs start freaking out. They're barking, going nuts. I'm like, what the hell? Usually they only do that when somebody's in the driveway or in the front or at the front door. So I get out of bed, walk out, and I see somebody pacing around the front window by my kitchen. So it's a kitchen window. And I see him like pacing around out there. And I go to open the door. My dogs are freaking out, trying to get out of the house. And this young lady says, somebody just hit your house. Somebody just ran into your house and took off. And I'm like, what the hell? It's like, give me just a second. So I close the door. I walk out. All right, I go to put the dogs in my bedroom. And then I go and I check on the outside of the house, on the garage side, to see if there was, like damage to the house or something like that. And it wasn't the house. It was actually the fence. So somebody had crashed through my vinyl fence, and then went across the street, hit the tree on the other side of the street, got a dead stop, and then backed up and took off. So it was a hit and run. So it was property damage with a hit and run, so leaving the scene of an accident. So this individual, from what I can tell, it was a 2008. Now, I didn't see the vehicle itself. I have plenty of vehicle parts at my house right now that actually give me an idea about what kind of vehicle it was and all of that. So identification stickers on the blinker housing that I have. Ultimately, it cost me about $250 is what the overall cost were to repair it myself. Fortunately, I have a community that actually pitched in a little bit. So my neighbor had this exact same fence. He had some leftover pieces, and I managed to kind of put some things back together so it doesn't look like anything's happened. But I did have to go buy some new poles and stuff. By the way, the price of construction material is absolute bullshit, but and it is what it is. So yeah, it took me about an hour and a half to repair the fence. So, but had neighbors all over the place. I mean, I had neighbors from blocks away I've never met before. I had neighbors on my own street I've never met before coming up to offer help. You know, just like get stuff out of the road and whatever. Because my fence exploded. It's all over the road right on my main street here. Yeah, the guy backed away and took off. So the neighbor that's directly behind me, she was out on the sidewalk at the time it happened. So she just saw the vehicle blow through my fence, hit the tree. She ran over to try to help, but he already started backing out, or whoever it was. We're assuming it was a guy backing out. And then he went over the street sign, the stop sign with the name of our street. But he went over top of that on his way out. So he took out 2 street signs, the corner of my fence, and multiple bushes. I cherished those bushes, and they're never coming back. They're gone. So yeah, so then the police, we called the police, or I did anyway, and then some of the neighbors. 2 sheriff's department or sheriff vehicles came up. They came, stopped, said, well, it looks like the guy left. And I'm like, yeah, he did. And I'd say so. They're like, well, you know, FHP is on their way. For people that don't live in Florida, that's the Florida Highway Patrol. It's on their way to come and take, you know, the incident down and report it. So we got an actual, like, you know, a list of it in the system. And so they left. They had to go to another call because they had a domestic violence call that they had to get to, is what they told me. And they left, and I waited outside for over 2 hours for FHP to show up. I wouldn't move the stuff in my yard so they could see everything. And finally, it just got so late. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just put this stuff in the garage. So if he shows up, I can show the stuff to them. And then, you know, I'll just wait. Kept my Ring app on so I could see, you know, if anybody got in the driveway so I can go out and help or go ahead and talk to them. Never showed up.
Never showed up still?
FHP still hadn't showed up. So yeah, I've already fixed it. I can't leave it the way it was because my dogs need to get out and actually have the yard to themselves. So yep, there you go. So what I said on my video is some people in this life will be responsible. Some people won't. I'm one that would prefer to be responsible. I don't want to go do burnouts and 360s and blow through somebody's fence and things like that. And then there's other people that you need to pick up their slack. He was being irresponsible and it became my burden. So the best thing that we can do to try to change that in the future is actually be part of a proactive movement to help people mature and develop. Not this, you know, if we sit back and continue to condemn people and not actually try to interact and interject bad behavior to the point they see something better, we're likely not going to see any change. So a perpetual self-fulfilling prophecy type of thing going on. So anyway, there you go. Nice little pulse check in life. Now, all of this came at probably one of the worst times as well, because my main job laid me off. So, you know, I'm sitting here with, now I've got more expense and don't have the clarity about where that money was going to be coming from, you know, necessarily for, you know, because my money's got to stretch for a bit as I get into another main position. As whether or not you guys believe it, with this channel and how amazing we are with our editing and how up to date we are with everything and how professional we are about this, now we're not actually earning a living by this by any stretch of the imagination. So you want to be a part of that, by all means, come on down. We're happy to take sponsorship and support from our fans. So with that, that's pretty much what went down, my man.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, right? I mean, the blink of an eye, people can just drive through your fence. The fact that he went from fence, we're assuming again that he's a male. We went from fence to tree to street sign. Like, bro, what are you doing? Like, he had to be under the influence, Chad. You don't hit 3 items and in less than 1 minute period unless you're under influence.
Well, I mean, there's several potential options, right? It could have been a stolen vehicle and they were out for a joyride. It could have been the person was uninsured, which is not uncommon in Florida. Problem with that is, if you have an uninsured motorist that gets involved, the only recourse you have to actually get any money out of that to fix your property is you have to go to court for it. There's nobody that's going to say, okay, here's your money, unless that person's willing to give you money, which is very unlikely if they're already not insured. So yeah, sucks. And then I even had one of my neighbors, here's the experience that I had with it, actually something that was almost as frustrating as the actual event. One of my neighbors decided that she was going to use the defense that the roads are wet. I'm like, No, no, no. People drive on wet roads all the damn time. If you drive, speed limit and you don't do anything reckless, you're pretty much going to be safe, unless your tires are completely bald and you're hydroplaning. But other than that, there's a 360 mark, so it's a black tire strip that shows like the person did a burnout, and then the tire lines go straight into my yard from that. So it's perfectly aligned. That's likely all he was doing, is just being an idiot, or that person being an idiot. Other thing that got under my skin is one of the neighbors who had said, this isn't what got on my skin, but gives you an idea about the knowledge level for this person. She goes, yeah, that was a Chevy Tacoma. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure a Tacoma is a Toyota. And she goes, no, no, I know my trucks. That's a Chevy Tacoma. And I'm like, okay. And then as soon as the sheriff's department shows up, she starts running her mouth. And she's not saying anything lightly. She's actually saying it louder than this. So these sheriffs show up, and one of them gets out of the vehicle and walks over. And yeah, she's like, yeah, about time you showed up. Good for nothings. This is what our tax money goes to. I'm like, bitch, I support the police. Shut up. For the most part, I support oath keepers, you know. And this woman's sitting there like running her mouth. I'm like, this isn't even your house. First off, you have no skin in the game. Second off, other than you just want to feel important. Like, I appreciate you being here for me as a neighbor, but right now you're not being here for me as a neighbor. You're an interruption.
You're a distraction.
So I just look at her and I'm like, all right, that's enough. And then I talked to the officer. And then as they were walking away, she kept talking shit. I'm like, oh my God.
Boredom.
Like, I imagine you have a record. Yeah.
You have a record. I know. Isn't it crazy? Like, so the police show up. First of all, some police calls are way more urgent than others.
Priority
There's
basis.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So if it takes them 10 minutes to get to your tree that someone ran into your yard that you don't even own, right? You're just renting the house. God forbid them show up a little bit late when there's murders and rapes and all the crazy stuff that go on, throughout the United States. And not only that, like, you're just like waiting for them to get out of the car just so you can bitch them out from A to B to when they leave. It's, gosh, yeah, people, they're just bored. Yeah, they're just bored. Like, I have a friend that works for the fire department, and he says that people will call for the randomest things, like just to get someone to come over to their house to talk to. Like, oh, my chest hurts, and they'll show up, they'll do the test, everything's fine. They're like, well, sir, you can go to the hospital. No, I don't want to go to the hospital. Okay, sir. Well, then, we're done here. And then they'll be like, okay, I'll call you guys later. Like, no, like, people are just bored sometimes.
Yeah.
So
hey, you guys want a beer?
Yeah.
We're close enough to the 4th of July. You guys want a beer? Maybe I can make you some tea. You want to hang out? Jeopardy's coming on soon.
So she was just waiting for those cops to get there so she could just have something to bitch about,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was very clear. Everything was a complaint from the moment I met her. She's complaining about my yard for me, about the fact this guy went through it. The audacity, somebody went into the neighbor's yard across the street and hit the tree, dead stop. Didn't do anything to the tree, really. You can just see a little mark on it. And then nobody actually said anything about the stop sign and the actual, like, my road sign, for the street signs, right? Nobody said anything about the identification for the street signs either. I'm like, huh, it's only, wow, they went through your fence. So anyway, not to harp on it necessarily. It is interesting. It's kind of funny. It sucks. Worse, it's a pretty bad timing, but ultimately though, that's why I say that particular person was definitely the one that stood out the most. I mean, I had neighbors showing up that were under the influence, and it's over here trying to have, like, I was completely sober, no influence whatsoever. I didn't have any caffeine left in my system. It's like, I'm good, completely, like, straight on, and one of them, I'm like talking to him at the edge of the street. And I mentioned to him, like, I said a few things, and you can tell when somebody's under the influence by the way they respond to you. It's either they're not paying attention and they're in their own head about something, or they're pretty effed up, right? So I say something to my neighbor, and he says something just like completely on another subject. I'm like, yeah, I was like pretty crazy. It just looks like it blew through my yard. He goes, yeah, people, this area, oh, it looks like you went through your fence. Oh my God, dude. We're staring at the fence. How do you not get that?
Of course. But at least no one was hurt, right? At
Yeah.
least he went through
Well, that we know of.
that we know of. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
the driver may have gotten hurt.
Yeah.
It's possible. Or if they
Yeah.
had a passenger, they may have gotten hurt. I mean, I got quite a few pieces of this vehicle left in my garage right now. Now, not like big pieces, but there's quite a few pieces. I mean, they went through and hit enough stuff that it ripped the door handle off. So it's not exactly something that the vehicle's just like, oh, it's but a scratch.
Yeah. No. Can't open the door anymore. That's for sure.
Yeah. But a flesh wound. Right, old Monty Python.
All right, Chad. So we got a big event tomorrow. Several big events tomorrow.
Yes, we
Tomorrow's the
do.
4th of July. One of my favorite holidays, probably top 3 favorite holidays is 4th of July. It's a day where we get to reminisce and we get to celebrate the fact that our nation declared its independence in 1776, July 4th. And I love all the different types of celebrations that we do. A lot of people go on the boat. There's a lot of grilling out, a lot of spending time with friends and family. Some carbonated beverages are thrown back in celebration. So all kinds of good stuff. So I just want to wish all of our listeners and Chad, happy 4th of July. I know we're a little early. Please be responsible. Right? We just learned from Chad's incident on Thursday how important it is to be responsible with our own actions and enjoy it and understand what it means. Understand what that means to this nation, to all of us, anyone that was born in the United States, our grandparents, their parents, all the way to 1776. And we're going to cover a little bit more about some other things that have happened on July 4th, but just really remember what the holiday's about.
Yeah. I'm going to throw this out there. I might have actually, I might have gotten a warning from the Clintons on Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they just ran somebody through my fence, and they're like, you keep it up. You keep talking about, John McAfee and Epstein, and the reporter that blew the whistle on the tarmac meeting, and like 20 other people at least, you're going to suicide yourself. We're serious. I'm being facetious, by the way. And I don't think they even know I exist. So yeah, but anyway, just a little comical value. All right. So my mother's birthday is on the 4th of July. One of my good friends, his birthday, his name's Paul. His birthday is on the 4th of July. So I'm a huge fan of the 4th of July. The day itself. Here's the thing that I actually have a little bit of a gripe with, and I want to be able to bring back, because again, the show's waking the people, is what does the holiday really mean? Why is it an observation? If you can imagine, we go back to 1776. We declare our national independence from Britain, from the crown, right? That wasn't the end. That was the beginning. All right. We had to go to war after that. Now, we had to fight a massive militarized country when we were still trying to find ourselves. We were part of them. Really, if anything, we were just trying, we were the ones that were tired of it and tried to get away, and finally got away from the supervision of the surveillance state of what England was at the time. And then we had to go through the things we had to go through just to have this country that had become the beacon for the world for freedom, where you can say what you want to say and still be able to have your freedom. And if people don't understand what it's like in a dictatorship or communism or socialism, you start making statements that go against what the government wants, you are going to be in trouble. And we'll get to that in a bit, as far as like the Biden administration and their Facebook programs and their social media programs they're using to try to squash dissenting thought, which I don't know if you heard about that. We'll go into that later though. But yeah, think about what July 4th is to you, the viewers. For Joshua and I, we know that this is a major day for our nation. This is the birthday of our nation. This is the day that we said, we're not going to take your shit. We are our own sovereign nation that is not going to be governed by an outside influence. And if that doesn't touch you at your soul right now, get down to your bone marrow right now with what's currently going on in our country, then you need to wake the hell up before you realize that you're taken advantage of and take it for granted. your current freedoms, because they will go if we let this thing continue. So, all right. What do you got there, brother? I'm sorry, I got all ominous and shit on it.
No, it's perfect. I mean, people forget England at this time, Great Britain, was like a superpower. It was by far the biggest military, had the biggest economy. I mean, it colonized most of the world. And in 1776, when we signed the Declaration of Independence, we didn't even have money. We didn't have our own currency. Like, we were in shambles as far as a nation. We didn't have an army. You know, we didn't have an army for the United States. We had some state, you know, militias and state military. We didn't have a country military that we had to build. So it's a lot of roads have stepped on, you know, that the path to get to where we are now really started with 4th of July. You can really pinpoint, you know, I mean, maybe not from an overall standpoint, but our nation, right before that, we were just the colony. We weren't, you know, the United States of America. So it's pretty cool. So I got some other things, Chad, that have happened on 4th of July. So let's see, we already covered the Declaration of Independence. In 1827, slavery was abolished in New York. In 1862, Lewis Carroll creates Alice in Wonderland. I thought that was kind of cool. 1863, General Lee's army withdrew from Gettysburg, so ending Gettysburg. In 1884, the Statue of Liberty was presented to the United States by France. In 1939, Lou Gehrig had the number 4 retired for the first time ever by the New York Yankees. In 1944, the rising of the flag at Iwo Jima. So that famous picture of all the, you know, the soldiers pushing that flag up, that was on 4th of July. And also in 1966, Lyndon B. Johnson signs the Freedom of Information Act, which was an act that pretty much stated that anyone, anyone has access to, you know, certain information that the government has, as long as it doesn't, you know, put at risk some, you know, classified information. So those are just a few. There were so many different things that have happened on 4th of July. I just picked out a couple of them I thought were kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well, we had we had FISA, which is, again, is the Freedom of Information Act. That was put, not to take away from the July 4th historical events, but just to give people understandings of the value of FISA and how important that is to us as the people. It was BuzzFeed that requested, was it BuzzFeed or Vice? I think it was BuzzFeed that requested the FISA on the Fauci's emails. And now we know that Fauci has been involved and actually gave misinformation intentionally to the to the American people. But you know what? This is how important it is to people. If the news doesn't make it a big deal, most people don't either. You know, FISA is the right to the people for them to understand what's going on with certain things. And that was actually used. Also, Tucker Carlson recently was tipped off that the what is that? The NSA is eavesdropping or listening in on his communications with what he's doing on a show with people to try to make him look bad. And he got an update by this person that the only way this person would have that information is if they were actually tapping into it. So he actually requested they use the FISA to find out if that be the case. They actually, at this point, they still have not denied that they were listening in on him. And now, with this thing that I mentioned earlier that I was going to get back to, the Biden administration is involved with, as you may have noticed recently on Facebook and other social medias. I think right now it may just be Facebook, but if it's there, it'll be in other ones if it's not already, where people are getting notifications that they may have been exposed to extremist material, extremist activists' information and or exposed to individuals. So if that doesn't frighten people of how controlling this is and what kind of warfare that we're in right now, it's a propaganda war where we now have an administration that supports suppressing your ability to actually have access to information. We have a large tech company that's blocking people or telling them that they may have been exposed to specific people's rhetoric that's considered to be extremists. By the way, they're focusing on conservatives with that extremist label. If you dig into it, you find out more about exactly what they're referring to and how you can find out if somebody is an extremist and what to do as far as a resource to help them and help yourself. Now, to me, this is getting so much like the movie V from Vendetta. Like, this is, if people don't see this as a governmental overreach and social media and a big tech tampering in your lives, man, I don't know what's going to wake people up. So yeah, so Biden's administration is now eavesdropping in and selectively targeting people. They've given permission or direction to directly do this to people that are on these social medias. So keep in mind and keep your eyes open to this. Things, more things are coming. So nobody lets something small like this go without actually accelerating it if they can get away with it.
Yeah,
Did you know about all that?
Yeah, I'm some of it. Big tech doesn't surprise me with all the stuff they do, and honestly, the Biden administration doesn't really surprise me with a lot of things they do. Eventually, they're going to get regulated, in my opinion. Like, did you know, Chad, that even your phone provider, whoever you use, whether T-Mobile, Verizon, they actually sell all the information, all the data that you use your phone to those big tech companies and to other third-party companies that can even hack into your phone to get more of your data that then they use to advertise, blast you to death all over all your social media and whenever you're on Google, the internet. It's crazy. Like, it's to, and by what means is someone depicted as an extremist? By your view of what extremist, like, to be an extremist is, Google, or to, the definitional view? Because, as far as who is able to decide what ideologies or what viewpoints are extremist, no one appointed Google, no one appointed Facebook, no one appointed these Silicon Valley big tech companies to decide what you think is extremist, right? Versus, there's a lot of other stuff I see on the freaking TV that I could be labeled as I see some extremist activities, but they're not being called out like some of the more conservative, ideologies are. And that's not right. I mean, we have to, I think we talked about this in the show before. If the thing that is going to destroy this country, which Thomas Jefferson talked about a lot, was when these big political parties cannot meet in the middle, right? Political parties they're necessary to an extent, but because they exist, that's where a lot of the own turmoil in our country is going to come from. And we got to start finding some middle ground. We can't have, big tech companies, putting these political parties on a platform, and we can't have, the news media allowing their viewership to be actually a political platform when they're supposed to be a public educator. They're just supposed to give you the facts and let the viewers decide. Eventually, we're going to have to get all this shit, Chad, right back on the tracks, because we're heading to Omaha right now, and we were supposed to be going to freaking Tampa. And so we got to right this wrong pretty quick.
Yeah. And this definitely will get into some other things. As far as the July 4th portion, anything else you want to throw on that before we talk about the savings that the current administration is giving us for July 4th?
Yeah, there is one event, Chad, that goes on during July 4th that I've watched for many years, and that's the hot dog eating contest. Okay, you ever watched it, Chad?
Is that Kamala's contest?
Maybe she'd probably get smoked in there. Yeah, so the hot dog eating contest, the Nathan's hot dog eating contest in Coney Island, goes on every July 4th. Pretty much Joey Chestnut just wins it every year. But so he's the betting favorite. I couldn't even find the other participants this year that are in the hot dog eating contest. And they said that the overall betting line on Joey Chestnut winning this year is more than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning their division last year, and also more than the Kansas City Chiefs winning their division last year. So it's a pretty heavy favorite. Chad, how many hot dogs do you think you could eat in one sitting?
In one sitting?
One sitting.
3. And then I'm going to walk away going, I'm a disgusting pig.
70.
I'm going to browbeat myself in the mirror for half an hour afterwards. Just be like, look at you, you dirty little pig.
I think Joey Chestnut, I know one of his records was 72. Let me see if I can find the other one.
I realize this is going to be opening up a whole nother area of low-hanging fruit humor.
Well, those little adolescents can do whatever they want. Let's go 75, Chad, in 2020.
This guy was capable of putting down 75 wieners in a setting.
One sitting.
Yeah. Wow.
Jeez Louise, 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
10 minutes.
Jesus. You know, that's the thing, right? Do you want to go down in history being known for the fact that you could eat 75 hot dogs in 10 minutes? Like, you want that to be your claim to fame, your family, your legacy, right? It's like, you know what? I did this. What else you do with your life? That's not enough for you. You know, I actually gave into the sin of gluttony, and I also mastered it.
Heck yeah, that's a lot of hot dogs. They got all kinds of competitions, wings. They got donut eating competitions. It's a professional league of eating, Chad, that you can go and they get paid money. But I couldn't do it. I'm like you, maybe 2, 3. I can eat more pizza than I think hot dogs, but
Yeah.
I could
Hey,
easily
Grandpa, how do we get that Lexus money? You know, we're on the middle class. How do we get here? Well, grandson, let me tell you, I ate a lot of wieners in my life.
Yeah, I wonder how many hot dogs he's eaten. Oh my God, it's got to be in the thousands. Because they practice for this. Like, they have to stretch their stomach out, and they have to go through all the warm up routines to get ready for this big event. You have to qualify for this event, so you have to go through different contests to hit a certain number of hot dogs. And most of the people that qualify, it's almost like tennis, or at least how tennis used to be. There was the really, really good ones, and then there's everybody else. So like, some of these people qualify with 10 hot dogs, and the champ is eating 75. So some of these people that are competing in this competition are just there for, to say they did it. But
could you
yeah,
imagine a spectator in the audience, and then they're like, it's like having a NASCAR type conversation. They're like, well, you know what now? That car is going to go around that circle, and he's going to be trying to make a move. Look, he's going for the move. He's getting close to the bumper. Oh, goodness. Oh, he's going. Oh, he's back behind him again. They straighten out. All right. Here Kevin. All right, coming to another curve. Oh, man, I bet they're going to turn left. Right? You got like the NASCAR conversation that gets into the wiener eating competition. They're like, you see the way his jaw's moving over there, Frank? Yeah, look at his jaw right there. Oh, he's going to take clear lead. Oh, that whole dog, he barely even ate. I bet he swallowed it whole. Oh, God. Hey, you want yourself a Budweiser? I'm going to go get a Budweiser. You're going to swallow this down. I'm going to wash all this anticipation down with a smooth, cool Budweiser. You want one? Come on, I know you're on AA. Let's go ahead. It's a cheat day.
It's a cheat day. I wouldn't have put that mustard on if I was him. I'm a strictly no mustard kind of guy when it comes to eating professionally. Now, if it's in my living room, I might put a little mustard on it, but Chad, I think he really needs to, to make sure that he dips the hot dog in the water with no mustard first, and then eat it in order to be successful moving forward. Right now, he's at a good pace. We'll see how long he can maintain it.
I bet what's in that cup over there, he's got some illegal banned substances. He's got himself one of them lubes. I bet he's dipping himself some Astroglide on that dog. He's going to slide it right down his throat. Look, he doesn't even have a gag reflex. Look at him. He's just going for it. That's 3 at a time. That's 3. Holy shit, y'all see that? That was 3 at a time. Holy God moly. I'm going to tell the grandkids about this one. I use Worcestershire sauce because it numbs the throat.
Oh, we need, hey, listen, if you want us to commentate this event, Nathan's Hot Dogs, we will come down. We will make it happen. I promise you'll get more viewership than ever if you let us commentate the whole thing.
Oh yeah. I'm just surprised that there's not more people from Tender that's going on and applying for the hot dog eating contest. I'm sorry, low hanging fruit. I'm sorry. You know what though? If the people that are watching that watch with the same level of passion as the people in our viewership, if they actually, were to go ahead and subscribe and hit that pound that bell notification, the like button, whoo, man, we'd be moving up, man. I imagine it would be funny as shit. I'd even dress up for the part. I'd go full blown freaking Ricky Bobby or that would be funny. Or Run Ronnie Run, if anybody has seen that movie with David Cross. Oh, no, that'd be hilarious. Or get the guy dress up like Sean William Scott in the movie Old School.
Which scene?
Remember, was it Old School? Yeah, when he's like, he's the animal handler. And he's got the trank gun.
Oh yeah. No, that
And Will
was.
Ferrell-
Oh yeah, it was old school. Yeah. No, it was
Yeah.
old school. Yeah.
He gets shot in the neck. He's like, "Ooh, ooh."
Right. Yeah. I mean, that would be. We could sponsor the event, Chad. At that point, we could be the Waking the People Eat hot dog eating contest. And guess what? We're going to take it out of Coney Island. I'm sorry, it's leaving New York and it's coming down to the best state in the whole nation, Chad. It's
hot dog eating
right. Hot
right
dog
here. You know what? We got all this humidity. It helps to train in camp, like high humidity, freaking elevation training with the restrictive masks and whatnot before it was cool and fashionable, thanks to the vid. You know, yeah, you got people down here getting that humidity. They're like, man, I sweat whenever I eat ketchup. No, you're sweating because of the humidity. You go to the Northeast, you ain't gonna sweat when you catch up. I promise.
Nope. Don't put that on the hot dog. That'll slow you down.
That'll slow you down right there.
Yep,
You know, what it does is it slows you down because it hits them taste buds. And as soon as it hits them taste buds, it makes them coarse.
Yep.
And the wieners don't slide down as easy.
Nope.
Okay? We sound like experts at this. And
Too
it
much
actually
friction.
sounds kind of frightening.
Too much friction.
Too much.
It's bad for the esophageal muscles. Okay,
That's
ketchup.
right.
Ketchup has some anti-inflammatory because it's got a lot of sugar in there. Okay, you don't want it to hit that throat. You won't be able to drink.
Nope.
Nothing.
You want those hot dogs to be beating up the uvula like one of those little speed bags at a boxing gym. Just a, That's right. You got to get 75 of those hot dogs down in a 10-minute period. Let's go, baby. Woo!
No. Don't need no more.
Dude,
friction.
I would get a mullet wig for this. We're gonna need to actually get some donations. That's what I'm saying. We're gonna need some donations for this, and we will commentate on a lot of different sports, especially the weird ones. But seriously, that would be hilarious if there were people in the audience and you just overheard their conversation. Like, you see the way the technique he's using? He grinds his teeth front to back. That's it right there. Oh, that was 3 chews too many. That's slowing him down. They're not going to get it. I bet he's only going to get 73 wieners in 10 minutes. Ain't going to do it. Ain't going to do it this time.
I would love to hear people's conversations. The people that came out and bought tickets to watch, we would just set up a booth and just let them come to us. And we'll just ask them what they think of the event. I mean, most people are probably there because like, what is this thing? You know, there's just people that just stumbled upon the event. They're just walking around Coney Island. There's the hardcore fans, Chad, that I really want to hear from. And maybe there's some people that just don't even know how they got there. And there's a lot of people in that crowd are tamed. Like if you watch the event, I mean, it's an early event and some of them are getting after it. Last year, they had an announcer who I think we might try to take his job, Chad, but he brought the heat. Like I was ready to go by the time he started. So it'd be a funny time. It'd be an interesting time. But again, we're not going to Coney Island. That's just not going to happen. Sorry. Nope.
No. I'll eat 1 wiener for every 10 they do. I still won't make it. They'd be at 30 and I'm on 3 and I'm like, I'm a pig. I'm disgusting.
Tapping out. I'm done.
Yeah. Like a freaking UFC tap out. Or like Logan Paul when he got a little tap on the glass jaw. Like, hold me up, Mayweather. Hold me. And that's whenever the Titanic song came on.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. So I'm gonna watch it, Chad. We'll watch it. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure. Normally it's on around noon, but I could be wrong about that.
On the 4th of July?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's not like gonna be outside watching fireworks at that time. You can't see them as well.
Yeah, but normally it's in the morning or afternoon that they do it.
Yeah. Well, you know what's interesting, and this is like you could say so for the Patriots out there, we really save it up and let it out on July 4th. And a lot of them will participate on New Year's Day as well, or New Year's Eve just before or once the clock turns over to the new calendar year. So a lot of people are firing up those fireworks. But if you go up to Portland, Oregon, man, you're going to find it's going to be hard to find anybody more patriotic if you measure patriotism by fireworks, because those little bastards up there are firing fireworks at police all the damn time. No, maybe they're more patriotic and we've just been misreading it because, we're not the smart people in the group. I don't think that's true.
No.
You know what? We should do an entire episode with that. What is that? Where they're whispering. I forgot what that's called. Where they're like, yeah, so I'm going to actually just keep talking about stuff and see if people like it when I whisper, because apparently it's soothing and it helps. It helps with depression. It helps speed it along. So you go ahead and just kill yourself, but don't kill yourself. It's not good. Don't do it. You got stuff to live for, like hot dog eating.
Mm-hmm. You sound like Billie Eilish. That's pretty much just how she sings. She just like whispers to the mic. But yeah, it's yeah, Oregon is a shit show. That's an episode on its own. I'm pretty sure the violent crime rate has gone up like 563%.
Yep.
That's pretty insane. And I'm not going to Portland, Oregon anytime soon. The last place I would want to be on 4th of July is Portland, Oregon. I can tell you that right now. So
yeah, well, you can imagine that that's actually going to be. There's likely going to be some serious events that happen,
of course,
throughout the country on the 4th, because it is the United States stands like the United States flag stands for capitalism to some people. To us, it stands to freedom. Capitalism is a form, it's its own freedom and your work and what your value systems are with your work. But there are a lot of people that look at it as like it's repressive, that it's all these things. And, we've got radicalists throughout the United States that are allowed to get away with this shit, DAs that don't prosecute. So what could happen in the near future? We don't know, man. So I would not want to be in places like Portland, Oregon. I wouldn't want to be in Chicago. Oh God, Lori Lightfoot went after even people that were once her supporters recently too, but I'm not going to take that rabbit trail necessarily. But yeah, she went after them. Anybody that was dissenting to her viewpoint, she called homophobic, racist, and a lot of these people are either LGBTQ themselves, or they are people of color, or whatever the identity politics want to call those individuals. Also referred to as POCs. Shit, I probably just got us labeled as extremists, by the way. So,
really?
But yeah, Lori Lightfoot's an idiot. Like, she's absolutely just drunk on the punch, just like Newsom. So they eat themselves, man. That's the leftist ideology actually eats itself alive. Once they run out of targets, they'll just consume each other. So it's absolute chaos. It's anarchy.
One of the big problems with cancel culture. So it's not even like most people, I would say 99.9% of the population like supports LGBT. Like most people don't have a problem with how you live your life. Like most people don't have a problem with what race you are. But with cancel culture, it creates this emotional attachment to this reality that's really not, to a really massive stance in society. And then once it gets really bad and they've run out of people to consume with their cancel culture, they start consuming each other. And there's so much better ways to achieve change if that is your goal. And it just shows that a lot of these organizations really are just out for themselves and are really out for the people that they're actually trying to support.
Yeah. And I want to add something to that too. As you said, 99.9% of the people support LGBTQ. I would say that there's 3 categories, at least major categories, to put people into in that scenario. You have the people that support proactively, they go out to pride marches, they speak out openly, or speak up openly for LGBTQ rights. There's going to be the live and let live group, which is the people that really don't care. They're not supporters. They're not against them. That's not their game. The live and let live means you do your life. Don't have your life affect mine. I won't have mine affect yours. Right. That's the live and let live group, which is a very large population in the United States. And then there are the anti, which are going to be a lot of times like the religious zealots and people like that. So, but those 3 categories, the reason why I wanted to throw that in there is because if you're in that live and let live category, you are likely to start being like sniped at, if you will, as that's where cancel culture is going to look at something and say, yep, that's anti-LGBTQ, but it's just simply because it's in the middle. You didn't wear the shirt, you didn't put the flag, you didn't change your icon or your profile picture to represent or whatever it is. And that becomes like, okay, well, there's a reason to go after that person. Or they said something that is interpreted based off the way they wanted to put a framing device around what they said to make it look like they're anti. And it's the thing is, what people aren't understanding with this particular type of argument is this is where the First Amendment's getting attacked. And it's being attacked in a way that they're pleading to concepts of decency. And concepts of decency are evolving to whatever the society believes the norms are. So what was decent back in the 1950s and 60s is now considered to be indecent. And what would be considered decent then to what we're doing right now is considered to be horrifically grotesque in some ways, because of the time period. So if you wanted to, so in order to take out specific amendments to our Constitution that give us our rights, or they give us the framework for our rights, this is how you do it. You get people involved in such a way that you teach them that decency is better than what the rights are, because you undermine the rights of the individual. Just like Biden's statement about F-15s and nukes, because an AR-15 isn't going to do anything to the government, which we discussed in the last episode. To have a seated president say something like that about the Second Amendment, that shows you that the concepts of decency have moved through the years to the point that somebody sitting in office can say such a thing and not be impeached because they're directly trying to take away one of our amendments, one of our constitutional rights. So the only way they could get away with it, that happened back in the 60s, and guarantee you there would have been a big movement to impeach that person.
True.
So yeah,
it just shows how times change. Like every decade, certain things that were okay, or were social norms are now not, and that's that's just part of life in general, right? We grow, we move, hopefully in a better direction, not always, but I feel like especially with our country, as time has gone on, even the really major mishaps and mistakes we've made, we've corrected, and as our country continues to age and as we continue to go through different decades and as time goes on, I feel like that freedom will always prevail, and that this country will continue to become better and push forward for everyone that lives in it. So yeah, it's the people that don't want to see that happen are the ones that normally cause all the chaos, to be honest with you. Yeah. I've always thought that, even when I was a kid, I could always just tell that the stuff that I saw on TV, as far as the people that were shouting and tooting the horn, as far as whether it be with social injustice or any kind of change, are actually the ones that don't want to see it happen, because all their mannerisms and all the actual footwork put into the situation and to the change is, I don't see the benefit. I don't see it actually contributing to change. They just kind of dance around. They dance around the subject and make you think they want to change. But so that's the thing. There's a lot of people like that on both sides, left, right. A lot of people just freaking hanging out who do want to talk about changing things, but when there actually comes to their actions, it really depicts no willingness to or desire to see changes happen that a lot of people do want to see. So keep that in mind too. I'm skepticism of everybody, any political figure, and I don't believe in you. Okay, so if you really are going to die on that hill and know that your person wants this, or my person wants this, or my party wants that, make sure you do your research on it before you are willing to die on that hill for those ideas.
Yeah. Speaking of decency concepts, so we have two people that recently qualified to be a part of the Olympics, the upcoming Olympics in Japan. One of them is Gwen Berry. Now, she is a hammer throw. We mentioned it in a previous episode. We mentioned her in the previous episode, and how she turned her back to the flag during the national anthem, later stating after the event that she saw that they played the national anthem intentionally to get at her. Now, that is absolute insanity. It's lunacy. But what it is it shows mental health issues are on the rise, because somebody with that kind of paranoia who will publicly make a statement like that to try to come up with this, like, okay, they targeted her. If that doesn't tell you the kind of mindset that's being bred in specific populations, is that you can see that people are under this unbelievable gaslighting. Now, they for this woman, the national anthem is played often when you're qualifying for the Olympics, as well as when you're competing in the Olympics. The United States national anthem is played whenever the United States Olympians are playing, and whenever they get their, they are awarded, their placements. So for her to make that statement is insane, and people are getting behind it. What's that?
It's the Olympics. What do you think? They're not going to play any nation's national anthem? The U.S. is competing in the Olympics. They have to play the national anthem. That's how it's always been. There was a video of Usain Bolt that was during an interview, right? They were interviewing Usain Bolt, who's from Jamaica, by the way. So, and they started playing the U.S. national anthem. he stopped the interview. He said, we're doing the national anthem, turn around. He's from Jamaica. That's how much he respects the U.S., you know. So it's to think, so what, get this straight, Chad, because this is the first time I've heard of this. So she thought that they played the national anthem solely to make her upset.
Yep. That they did it to get at her.
It's an Olympic event. They have to play it, which I'm guessing there was more than, she was not the only USA competitor in the event as well, right?
No, not at all. No, this was qualifying. We haven't got to the Olympics just yet. This is just the qualifying portion.
Still an Olympic event though, right? Yeah.
She ranked third in the lineup to two other women, biological women, by the way. Then she ranked third to them. And there could be part of it pulling the Kaepernick or the Sean King thing, which is just trying to cash in on it and create something more than third place for herself. Or it could be that she legitimately is that mentally unwell to believe that they're paranoid enough that people are doing things intentionally to go after her. So if it turns out that she does have, you know, paranoia or a paranoid diagnosis, that would be helpful for her in this direction. Now, it's not our business because that's her medical conditions, and it really is not our business, but she's exhibiting paranoia. So there's that one. And then there's another that is, it's a BMX bike rider who is an alternate for the Olympics. So not even one of the main contestants or competitors. If somebody were to, not be able to compete, then the alternate would come in and compete. And this person's name is Chelsea Wolfe. So a female transgender that is competing or is set to compete in BMX during the Olympics. And Chelsea Wolfe's position is that if she wins, then, transgender she, if that person wins, then they will burn the American flag on the podium during the awards portion. So if that doesn't tell you, like, this is a growing degree of mental health issues in the United States, in my opinion, because you have people that are so anti to the world that they're actually in, to the freedoms that they have, and they've been pushed into being gaslit to believe that that is the best thing to do to express their freedom of speech, which, by the way, that's okay for that particular group, which is if it's okay for the left, predominantly, to make all of these incredibly outrageous and anti-American statements. But if the right says something that's pro-American, then they're labeled as extremists. They're labeled as radicalist, and that they needed to be reported on. By the way, if people don't think that move for Facebook to start reporting people with the whole like censorship to let you know you've been exposed to somebody with radical beliefs, if that doesn't tell you that they're asking you to report on people, I don't know what will. Because it is directly telling you to. It tells you your resources to go to report those individuals and to get help for them and yourself, because you've been exposed to beliefs. By the way, at what point in time are you not capable of your own faculties to at least be able to hear things out and make your own rational decisions? You need the government to interject to let you, to filter what you're allowed to hear. I'm sorry, that's not freedom. That's totalitarianism, and it's cradle. It's in its infancy stages in the United States. We don't do something about it, that thing is going to grow into this beast that's just going to turn us into the next Venezuela. So Chelsea Wolfe, look him up. Look up Chelsea Wolfe. That individual, you'll find out more on the story with that one. So, all right, Gwen Berry. If you don't want to represent the United States, compete in another sport, don't take it to the Olympics. The United States wants to actually have, pro-Americans, supporting it. The other two women absolutely did plenty of beautiful things to support. And the majority of all the other athletes that I saw that actually placed to go to the Olympics, all of them seem to be very patriotic, draping themselves in the flag and, just like showing it. Now, draping yourself in the flag may not necessarily be the most patriotic to every person, but it shows a respect for the flag to the degree that they're not, turning their back on it, and they're not, setting it on fire and stuff. So yeah, we need more patriotism in our sports, in my opinion. So
I'm still trying to figure out what her issue is, because I'm not sure, all the other competitors were also from the US during this event, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep. It was here. It was the United States. It was qualifying for the Olympics.
I want to know why she thinks it was directly played because of her. If she's complaining about why she didn't place first, I've never done a hammer throw, but the other two women that she competed against were much larger than she was. And I'm going to go ahead and say that based on my understanding of sport and exercise physiology, that mass and how big you are is very important in hammer throwing. So
Yes,
if you'd like to, Gwen, if you'd like to place first, maybe we need to get in the weight room a little bit, put on a little size. It looks like she did really well in some of the other events. Actually, she won a lot of the running events and qualifying, but hammer throw just isn't your thing. So I don't know. I'm still very confused. There's got to be some things here that, like Chad said, based on mental health, that we're not, going to speculate. But there's just definitely some more going on there. The fact that she thinks that she was directly targeted by playing the national anthem at a Olympic qualifier.
Well, if it tells you something, also, she was prepared for that moment. It was not like, okay, they're doing it to get at me. She brought a black shirt out with her that had white lettering on it that said athlete activist. That was a preparation. That wasn't a, oh, well, they've just insulted me and let me go get that shirt and come back. No, she had it with her the whole damn time. She was up on the podium. So she intentionally went out. To me, this is a constructed bullshit idea that she's trying to create more credibility for herself that she didn't earn. So she's trying to do it through social justice instead of actually just being an amazing athlete. So if you get disqualified, you can get disqualified from the Olympics. Absolutely can. People have been disqualified from the Olympics for many different reasons before. And to me, this is something that we're at such an agitated state. In my opinion, she should be disqualified. If she wants to hold that position, gone. There's other people that would happily get up and be patriotic and supportive. So yeah, if you want to get up there with you're already prepared, you have a shirt printed out that says, athlete activist. Okay, fine. They've already stated you're not going to be, there's no political movements. There's no BLM in the Olympics, nothing. They're not doing that. And here she goes, I don't care. They did it because they wanted to piss me off. They wanted to get me. Grow up.
So the Olympics said no.
We don't want to reward childish behavior because all that does is reinforce the behavior.
So the Olympics said no political parties can be shown, no activism, no nothing in the Olympics. It's not allowed to be. Okay.
Yeah, the Olympics said they're not going to be political. So at least the United States version, I believe it was actually the actual body itself, the Olympic body.
Okay. So I'm not against people protesting. So if this is her feelings and she wants to show that, 100% do your thing. But if it's in the rules of the Olympics that we're not going to do this and we're not going to use it for political parties, activism, whatever, right? We're not doing that. We're going to stick strictly to sport and the country we represent, and that's it. Well, I'm sorry, then Gwen, you broke the rules. But it's to go and the Olympics is such a big deal, and to get to where she's obviously an amazing athlete. To even get to qualifying for the Olympics, and it looks like she did pretty well. In some other events, she did well in this event. She placed. So maybe we need to start focusing more on the sport, Gwen, and less on all the stuff that's holding you back, or some of the the outside noise that you're bringing into your competition, because then you excel. We've already done a good job. So I don't really have too much more to say about that other than if it's in the rules, I'm sorry, but you can't break the rules, even if it is part of your right to freedom of speech, and you have the right to think what you think. But yeah, it's a shame.
Yes, it is. So all right, that actually helps us get into the next topic. So we missed one. 4th of July. The Biden administration is touting that they saved us 16 cents overall for our celebration this year over last year. So
what does that mean?
Yeah. I actually don't even know how they qualified that much, because to me, gas price is much higher. So there's going to be the commute pricing, shipping, all the goods are more expensive now. I don't know how they came up with we're 16 cents cheaper than last year. Makes absolute nonsense. And I mean, we could probably extract that from all the money that we sent across that came back. It didn't come back for us. It came back, in my opinion, as a laundered mechanism by sending it to foreign countries to get it back through other ways.
So
quid pro quo.
Chad, am I going to get a check in the mail? Just waiting on a check, 17 cents. we're all getting
Yes.
checked, right? They saved
Yeah,
me the
probably.
money.
Well, yeah, if they send us the 16 or 17 cents, we'll end up paying it back with our grandchildren's blood, sweat, and tears. Yeah, we'll still, yeah, we're not gonna pay it back in our lifetime because that's just the way that they like to keep us indentured. So, all right, next one. Yeah, you want it? Me too.
I want my check.
Better give it to me. Come on now. All right. I have another term for everybody. We've all gotten caught up. We're not caught up. We all understand the term troll. And if you don't understand the word troll, what they mean by troll on the internet is somebody who intentionally is trying to get you upset. They're not honest about their position as much as they're more interested in just bothering you. So like you post something, I found these beautiful flowers today, and they pop up with something like, yeah, you probably killed them, or something stupid. They intentionally are just saying things to agitate you. They're not actually saying something because they actually truly and honestly hold the position. Their position is just to piss you off. That's a troll. They'll follow you. They'll post just stupid stuff regularly. That's just what they are. So that's the troll thing. The next one is actually a distinction all in of itself, and I call it a pig. Now, when you're dealing with a pig, PIG stands for, it's an acronym for propaganda informed groupie. So it's somebody who follows propaganda that does it with the same level of fanaticism as what groupies do whenever it comes to musicians and artists and things, where it doesn't matter what they do, they're just soaking up, they're taking in everything as if it's the gospel. So propagandist informed groupie, which is the way you're dealing with that type of person is it does not matter what information you give them that's fact. They want to drag you into the propaganda. Now, they want to pull you down because, like, I got a good example. There's one person in particular I've been interacting with on social media. This individual has made a lot of claims that typically you see in mainstream media against Donald Trump, where they're saying like all the things, the talking points you constantly hear, Russian collusion, worst president in history. He was against vaccines, even though, like he's the one that he was responsible for getting Operation Warp Speed put into place, which means they were able to get the vaccine created quickly in the United States instead of waiting for the FDA to have it approved. So, yeah. So stuff like that. So he made these statements. I provided information, evidence. One particular conversation we were having had to do with his claim that President Trump reached out to the governor of Georgia to get him to find votes so that he could win the state of Georgia, which was an edited audio, and it wasn't even with the Georgia governor. It was with an election official. So after providing the information to this individual, he deflected it. He told me I was using semantics. He didn't have the right person that was being spoken to. He listened to the edited version, not the full version. I provided all of that information, and he just came back and said that I'm wrong and I'll believe whatever I prefer to believe is basically his outcome to it. And then jumped on another post after I put something out that had absolutely zero to do with President Trump. It had to do with mainstream media repeating lies regularly until it becomes truth to the witnesses. And he jumps on and starts bashing on President Trump again without any mention whatsoever. Now, I didn't have anything like that in the post, but he immediately brought it to that. So with that, it shows you like the pig concept. Now, he's a propaganda informed groupie. He's excited to learn what propaganda is being spread. So he goes to the mainstream media to get that information. Now, they love shit. They love waddling in it, and they want you covered in it. And how they usually get you there is they use ad hominem attacks. Once you provide evidence, they make a statement that tries to attack your character, not the evidence. So those are ad hominems, where they're going after your character, not the evidence. So with that, that's how you can identify them. My advice to anybody dealing with a pig: do not engage them. Provide the evidence. Do not go any further. As soon as they use an ad hominem, they use some sort of attack or anything, you're done. They have no interest in the evidence that you provided. They're not going to look at it differently. So don't drag yourself down. provide the evidence, move on, provide evidence, move on. I am not a groupie for anybody. I am not somebody who says, you know what, this is my person and I'm going to defend them no matter what. I am, show me the evidence. I will look into it. My opinion was changed on Trump in the earlier years. I didn't like him. I didn't pay attention to him. I was focusing on what was going on in my life. I didn't have any interest in what was going on politically, very much anyway. And I was listening passively to what was on NPR, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, just passively. I didn't tune in intentionally to watch, just hear it in the background. Well, over time, that was dispelled because I actually took the time to watch the entire video of President Trump at the time addressing the nation and realized these news stations were using framing devices to make me believe that he was saying something he actually didn't say. And that's where my view started to change. So if people believe that I won't change my view, you're wrong. I already did. I didn't care for him. I actually, whenever I would hear his voice prior to that moment, I'm like, this guy's just such an egomaniac. You know, he speaks with such grandiose views, and, you know, he uses a lot of hyperbole in his language. And I'm like, I want something of substance. I liked how Obama spoke then, because he spoke eloquently and he actually sounded like he had substance. And now I actually believe Obama is one of the worst presidents we've had, other than Carter and now Biden. But he spoke really well, and he's easy to like when he's charismatic. He's a very good speaker. Trump, not so much. He's not a bad speaker. He just speaks a lot of hyperbole whenever he's asked certain things. He speaks like a salesman, like a businessman. Mm-hmm. And that's why we had him there, because he was the one that came out and he wasn't a swamp monster. So anyway, so if you don't believe that I've changed my mind, you're wrong. I have, and I will again, as evidence continues to be provided if you can give it to me. So don't wrestle with a pig. They'll get shit all over you.
Yeah. Both sides too. They're not just Democrats.
Yep.
They're not just Republicans. Their pigs are all over the place. It's always be skeptical. We say this all the time. Always be skeptical of information you hear, whether it's on the the internet, the TV, radio. Always do your due diligence on every decision you make. Sometimes it's easier than others. Sometimes we fall victim to emotional attacks and we get all in our feelings, and it's really hard to have really good conversations nowadays. But especially for maybe for some of our Democrat listeners, which I hope we do. I really hope we have Democrat listeners, because again, Chad and I have said many times that we are not party affiliate, and I am. If the Democratic Party had a better candidate and they were better than what the Republicans had, then I could definitely see myself voting for the better person. But in the current situation that we live in for the past some odd years, that's yet to be the case. So, but nonetheless, we're not just picking on Democrats. There are a lot of Republicans out there that pig around with some of the information we hear. There's a lot of Trump supporters that pig around with some of the information they hear, and they will die on the hill for him, even when he can do no wrong. But we all know those type of people. So it is not just one side of the spectrum. It's both for sure.
Yeah, and I'm tired of the lesser of two evils conversation. Now, I actually think that a lot of the things that they say about Trump, the making him look like he's evil, is misguided or disinformation. Now, doesn't mean that nothing is there. The majority of the time I have to do the research. It's getting me to the point where it's like every time I look into something, it seems like it's intentionally misled. And it just aggravates the hell out of me. And that's on both sides, all sides. So, but yeah, whenever we get good candidates, I vote with what I believe for the individual as far as what they're going to be representing, not by the party line that they hold. That's why I'm non-party affiliate. I think we need more conservatism in our country than we need liberalism, because liberalism is it's running amok. It's lost. It's no longer in balance. And I like balance. I like that we can meet and actually discuss things and have a little give and a little bit of take. We need to be able to have those kind of things. It's like a teeter-totter and somebody doesn't like, they're just too heavy. You can't get it to go down. You're just stuck up in the air. So things to look into, and then we're done with our episode. HR1 is, as I mentioned before, HR1's intention is to try to take away the voting rights per state, and make all of the votes in the United States federalized, meaning that the states actually have no ability to, like right now, Arizona doing the audit in Maricopa County. There's another county that's going to start an audit soon. And then Georgia has an audit. There's all these different states with audits to try to find out election integrity issues. If they get HR1 passed, Democrats are in control, and they will make it so that every election is federally ran instead of ran by the state. That takes away the state's rights, which means it takes away your rights if you live in those states, which you do. We all live in the states. We would lose that, and it gives more control to Democrats. Same as the illegals that are coming in and then reducing voter ID, things like that. All of that stuff is not good. It actually takes away citizenship, vote rights. But everybody who comes in is going off our dollar. They don't pay in. We're paying for them. Where is it going to come from? Our tax monies go up and we get taxed more, and our benefits go down because other people are on the system. And most of the people that are coming in illegally through the border or semi or quasi legally, the majority of those individuals are going to end up voting Democrat. It's just what they're known to do as far as the actual the demographic. So stuff to keep in mind. We do not want HR1 to be passed. It is not Voting Integrity Act. It's absolute bullshit. The Voting Rights Act, it's bullshit. It's all hidden behind the feel-good stuff or the emotionally inflaming stuff. But the reality is you'll lose your rights as a state. And we don't want that. You want to be able to have the right to be able to audit things in your state and to actually hold your own state fair elections. So, all right, that's what I got for today. You got anything else there, Big Joshua?
No, that's it. We talked about some good topics. 4th of July is tomorrow. Hope you all have a beautiful 4th of July. Make sure you stay safe, stay responsible. Do not go through Chad's, his fence. Again, his fence is off limits. Okay, so make sure you keep it straight. Do what you're supposed to do. Have a great weekend. See how many hot dogs you can eat. I might get 2. I think I'm gonna get at least 2 tomorrow, Chad. At least 2 hot dogs. And have a great weekend. Stay golden, Pony Boy, and we'll see you next week.
Yep. Remember, we're all Americans. Let's act like it. We're in this together. We'll catch you next time. Enjoy. Again, Chad Everett Brochures. It's Sir Chad Everett Brochures. And Joshua, your patriot. Mike Kraken McClendon. Catch you all on the flip side. Enjoy your 4th. See ya.